Cynthia, along those lines, how can we adjust our perspective and really focus to respond well in those untimely delays, knowing that they're going to come?
Right. Well, I think for me, I've had to realize that what seems most important in the moment usually isn't. And especially in parenting, usually what seems urgent isn't eternal.
Yeah.
And I'll give you an example. I think I start the book with this. I know that I do. It's kind of the gas pump confessions, but I talk about how I was traveling to go speak at something, and it was a big opportunity in a big church in Houston, which is a couple hours from where I live in Dallas. And I was driving and had to stop and get gas, and just needed to get to this big opportunity. But I was stopping for gas, and this woman and her daughter approached me and asked for something to eat. And I was like, I don't have any money. And literally, I'd never have a dime on me. And so they're like, no, could you run in and get us something? And so I'm like, I guess. So I go in there, and all I can think about is like, are they trying to scam me? Are they getting me away from my car because they want to steal something from me? Do they want my kidney? Like, I'm going through all of these things. Like, I'm just being honest with y'all. That's not
Yeah.
a pretty picture of and so I get back out and I hand them the food, and they are very gracious, and they thank me and they leave. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to get going. And part of the gas pump confession is that I was in such a rush to get going, guys, that I forgot to take the gas pump out of my car, and I ripped that hose completely off and drug it across the Buc-ee's parking lot. Humiliating and horrifying.
Yeah.
However, point of the story is after I left that day, I was driving. I'm like, I might be late. Oh, this platform opportunity. And I realized that the Lord was saying, like, listen, I care about the platform, yeah, but I really care about your heart at the pump.
Yeah.
And what a word for me, because I feel like whether or not you actually speak on platforms, whatever you do, we all have the thing that gets the urgency. We all have whatever our I'm air quoting, our platform is, and God cares about what we're doing at the pump. And so I have to remind myself that all the time. Where I'm like, man, the most important thing is this interview I have to do. I have a book deadline, or I have a work dinner, or my house needs a remodel, or whatever these things are. And I feel like the Lord's like, not saying those things don't matter,
Yeah.
but at the same time, he cares about my heart and the little details of every day and the things that are going to slow me down. And usually it's my youngest. It's going to slow me down and get me off track. There's going to be something that is not scripted, not on plan. And in those moments, I have to stop and say, okay, like, what's going to matter more, the platform or the pump? And he's my little pump. He's the things that I've got to be ready for. I've got to love him well, even when it costs me something. And so
Yeah.
just little reminders along the way. I miss it all the time. Heck, I just wrote a whole book. How'd I miss that, right? So
Right.
we get it wrong, but yeah, that's kind of where I land on that.
I love that. One of my favorite things about reading that, the timing, was my husband and I were just at that Buc-ee's not too long ago. And so
Yes.
I was picturing, we had a conference and we were driving back from Houston, and we stopped there. And I'm going to tell you something. I don't know if you noticed this, but they have the creepiest birds at that Buc-ee's that I've ever seen in my life. Those black looking
No.
grackle, they looked like something from another world. And my husband and I were so weirded out. So I'm like picturing this story for you. And I'm like, where were the creepy birds? But that's exactly
Probably flying over my head as I'm ripping the gas pump out of
probably
Bucky's.
so.
Yeah,
That
for
made me
sure.
laugh so hard. But I mean, I love what you said, that the urgent is not always eternal. Or
Yeah.
I'm messing up that quote entirely, but
No,
just
that's
that premise of what we think is urgent is not always valued in eternity. And so I am so guilty of that. You want to talk about things I miss, because I am very type A. I'm check that box. I'm get it done. I'm move it on to the next. And especially think about us as foster and adoptive parents. We're filling out paperwork. We're getting to doctor's visits. We're getting stamps on all the things that need stamps. We're getting our kids to the therapies. We're doing all the different things, and so we can lose that, and we can get frustrated with our kids when really they just need us to see them. They just need soft eyes. They just need our presence. They just need a calm voice, and they just need a giggle with us. And we're trying to do all the things that we think are urgent. And so that was just a really, really great reminder for me. And I mean, we talk about confessions. That's why I love being able to have this conversation with you. And I tell on myself all the time on the show that I am just very guilty of being the all too serious kind of killjoy in my family, because I'm so type A and I'm get it done. And I'm constantly letting the weight of life's responsibilities, of managing my household, my budget. I'm kind of like you. I have like 4 jobs right now. And so and not to mention parenting 3 different children in 3 major developmental times of their
Yeah.
lives, in terms of adolescence and all the things. And so because of this, I tend to default towards kind of the serious and the structured and this weighty approach to life. In other words, I'm no fun, and I don't laugh at myself well, and I hate to fail, even in the littlest of things. And so I'm so hard on myself when I do, But I'm like, it's the cycle of insanity, right? That I'm doing the same thing and thinking I'm going to get a different result. So I don't know if this just turned into my own personal mentoring session or if any of
I'm
our
here for
listeners,
it.
right?
I'm here for it.
If y'all can relate to this, I think
Mhm.
because you are such a master, my friend, at laughing through the imperfections and the shortcomings of life. And so, what advice do you have to the type A mamas like me who just put so much pressure on ourselves in the day to day?
Yeah. I wish I had this figured out because I'm the same way and I do feel a lot of pressure. I feel like the stakes are high in a lot of areas that I'm not sure they're as high as I think they are.
Yeah.
But my mom gave me some good parenting advice that I'll pass on to you. My mom told me when I had young kids, she said, if you're going to laugh about it later, you should laugh about it now. And
I like that.
that doesn't mean in their face. Like if my kid does something naughty, I'm like, oh, that's great. Let's do it again. No, that's not the point. But the point is in the moment, I discipline or what I need to do. But am I going to carry that around or am I going to realize like that is going to be funny later? It just isn't at this exact moment. And how can I take things a little lighter and learn to laugh. For me, laughter is a currency. It was growing up and it kind of still is. That's what keeps my sanity is I have to be able to kind of be like, oh my gosh. I'll tell you a story. The other night, my little one, he has been getting out of bed a lot at night. His older siblings are now out of the house. And so he has the second floor to himself and he thinks it's like a luxury suite over there. And so he just kind of meanders around. And so I would had it. And I was like, do not get out of your bed. And about 15 minutes later, he's screaming and crying. And I'm like, what are we doing? So I pop up there and he's got a washcloth in his mouth and he's screaming and he's like, my mouth, the peppermint, the peppermint. I'm like, the peppermint? What are you talking about? And I go, show me. And he goes, I can't, I'll get in trouble. I'm like, well, you're already in trouble. So just show me. So he takes me into his sister's room and he opens up to show me the peppermint. It was pepper spray.
Oh
And
no.
yes, it was. And he had sprayed it in his mouth. You guys like mouth spray kind of. Well,
Ooh,
by the
that's
time we get there, I realized I didn't know what I was dealing with. Well, I'm in the room and I'm suddenly breathing it. And I mean, my lips are on fire. I'm coughing and choking like he is. So I'm like, come on, let's get downstairs. And so my husband hears all this hooting and hollering and he's like, what is going on? And I'm like, he maced the second floor. And he's like, what? So my husband is thankfully very level-headed. And he says, let's get him in the shower. And so he's washing him off. And I'm using makeup wipes, everything to get this off of my skin.
Yes.
Well, he gets out of the shower and it was in my little boy's hair. And so when my husband was toweling it dry, it got up in my husband's face. I'm kid you not, Summer. He starts vomiting, like
No.
right there in the moment, projectile vomiting. And I'm like, what? And so I laugh about this because one, that's real life over here. But first of
Right.
all, first child, I would have been on my way to the ER, right?
Oh, yeah.
Second child, I would have called poison control at a minimum.
Yeah.
Third child, I'm like, that's what happens when you get out of bed. Like I'm totally in full lecture mode.
That's
But
awesome.
I tell you this because one, I had to step back and say, am I going to laugh about this later? Yes. And I'm already, this wasn't that long ago, sadly. And I
Right.
am laughing about it. But then I also think the Lord uses those moments, those little messy moments to speak into my life. If you
Yeah.
could just be open to what the Lord is teaching you, I in that moment realized like that's really a nod to original sin. I mean, his sister told him over and over and again, do not touch the pepper spray.
Yeah.
What he heard was, ooh, that must be really good because she doesn't want me to touch it. And so as soon as she's gone, I'm going to touch that, right? And so I got to have some pretty good conversations with him about the fact that what seems like punishment is typically protection. There's a reason. And then I had some conversations with myself that what feels like punishment when the Lord isn't doing the things I'm asking him to do, when the Lord isn't speaking into my life, he isn't orchestrating my life the way I wanted to go. What feels like punishment is often protection. And so my encouragement in a very roundabout way to answer your question is this. If you can end those moments that are tense and those moments where you feel like you're going to lose it, where everything's off script, if you can step back, if you can figure out, is this going to matter in 6 months? Is it going to matter in a year? Will we one day laugh about it? If you can give yourself a little perspective, it goes so far. And then if you can go a step further and just say, Lord, what do you want me to know from this? What do you want me to learn? I just think it really changes how you approach the unpredictable, the unscripted moments.